Hello and welcome everyone to episode 19 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia, along with our very special guest, everyone's Nakama, RogersBase. How you doing, Roger?
I'm doing very good. Yes, Nakama. There you go.
Nakama.
You're getting it.
And that is key. It has been a very long time since I've watched the Japanese sub, so it's I'm a little rusty on that one. But yeah, that is key. It feels very appropriate to have you here for this set of chapters because, to me, this set of chapters is where Nakama really entered my lexicon. Right.
This is where it all comes together.
Well, I mentioned this before we started recording. This is also where I started my One Piece journey. So I've told this story ad nauseum on my own streams, but I'll mention it to you, is that the first time I ever read One Piece, it was in the North American translation of the physical Shonen Jump volumes that I would go buy because of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards that were in them. Oh, wow. And I remember there was a little advertisement in it for this goofy pirate manga called One Piece. And the arc that they were translating at the time when I first started reading was Arlong Park. And so the first chapter I ever read was Usopp versus Chu. So this chapter we're going through, 91 through 95, was all stuff that I actually read in the physical North American volumes as they were being translated.
I used to collect those as well. And it was cool. It was nice to have those. It felt unique, and I like that they were attempting to do that at the time. But it did feel like it was coming out a little too slow. Like you get 2 or 3 chapters, but I did start to prefer the volumes.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am right now without the old Shonen Jump magazine. So,
see, there you go. Shout out to Shonen Jump.
Yeah, shout out. I mean, they're still going strong, and man, it's a good set. Like, I gotta ask? Back in the day when this was first coming out, before it got officially brought to the West, even with 4Kids, did you watch the old Kaizoku fan subs?
No. So like I said, my first ever experience was the manga. Wow. And then by the time I started watching the anime, it was after I'd already read like quite a bit in the manga, like I said, in the physical jumps. And so it was on Toonami at the time, and it was like the really bad 4Kids dub. Ooh, but I thought nothing of it because I liked the One Piece rap, and I had already read it. And so the dub, it's like I didn't know the difference between a good dub and a bad dub when I was a kid. I was just watching it. Of course. And, admittedly, shout out, by the way, to the One Piece podcast, it's funny going back to those old 4Kids dubs because there are things in there that at least are humorous if you remove the context of this was all we had at the time from it.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a huge part of like a lot of people's animosity towards it at the time.
Exactly.
Was just, like the manga, like we were way behind the Japanese version. We didn't have official like streaming subs every week.
Right.
So it's like when your only option is that dub, you're just like, ugh.
Well, it's weird though because the anime, if I'm remembering correctly, in North America was kind of semi-synced with the Japanese manga release that was in the North American Shonen Jump, right?
Yes.
Because I remember there were like,
interesting.
Yeah, because if I'm remembering correctly,
right around that time, because they originally translated it as Zoro, but after with 4Kids going Zolo, they went to Zolo.
Right, and then on top of that, too, there were like the Bandai games that were being released on GameCube. Yep. Remember there was like the Pirate Carnival or Pirate Battle or something?
Yeah.
And that had characters all the way up to like 3 story arcs, 4 story arcs from where you guys are right now in this read-through.
Right. So the first thing that had any kind of Funimation dub was on Wii. One Piece, Grand Adventure, I want to say it is.
Right. That was the first Funimation one.
I think that might still be the only game with the funny cast.
Right.
Yeah, it was wild. And I know as a fan at the time, having experienced the Kaizoku fan subs and just how much effort they put into it, because still some of the best fan subs I've ever seen, just because of the extra effort they put into the lettering and giving each special attack its own font, really.
Yeah, they had
oh, sure, Gumu Gumu no. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they all had like crazy animations for it.
That hyped it up even more so. It was like,
of course.
And you had this level of One Piece, and you're trying to convince other people to check out One Piece, and all you have in English is 4Kids. And that's why I think it was such a kick in the teeth. It's like, no, this is losing why it's great.
I mean, and to be honest, regardless of where things are now with One Piece, right? Like, obviously, it's gotten a lot more popular recently, but like, I feel like it never really broke out of that. I feel like it still is sort of like seen as an underdog series. Whereas, like, if you look at the sales charts for things, even in North America, you've got stuff like My Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen. It's not even Kaiju number 8 was up there for a while too, above One Piece. So I feel like, it still hasn't really broken into the mainstream in the same way. Obviously, it's more popular now, but it's still, at least in North America, not on the level of like My Hero or JJK in the same way that, like, it was never on the level of Naruto or Bleach even, or Dragon Ball, of course, here in North America. Yeah, during their heyday.
Yeah. I'm just glad we don't have to scrounge for table scraps anymore.
No, thank God for that.
At least we've got a good translation. At least everything's coming out at the same time now. So
it's all good.
It's great.
And hey, speaking of table scraps, we got Chapter 91, Darts, where
like
nice segue.
Thank you, because we got the ship of Vice Admiral Garp with a nice dog head mask on there. This turns out to be what Helmeppo was freaking out about in Chapter 90. And to us, we still don't know what the big deal is, because everybody else is sort of normal, but Helmeppo is just like arched back, is like super saluting.
Yeah, he's super stiff. He's trying.
I mean, to be fair, Helmeppo's always weird, though. So, I feel like you should expect Helmeppo to be weird, regardless of what his stance is.
That is true. I guess the only indication that this is important is we see HQ3 on here, so it's definitely high ranking. And they did show those rankings of all the Marines. Vice Admiral is up there.
Yeah, people reading the story proper have no idea who Garp is at this point, but Vice Admiral's pretty high up.
Oh yeah. But getting into the chapter itself, last time Luffy avoided an attack by putting one of Arlong's own men in front of him, who got bit up real good, and Arlong's still upset. It's like, how dare you use one of my men as a shield? It's like, you attack first.
Yeah, he's got a point.
Yeah. One of the things I kind of forgot about this fight, it is utterly ridiculous in the way, like, Arlong's attacks are just as silly as everybody else's.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But he's no less threatening, I don't think.
No.
Right? Like, sharp teeth and everything like that. You're still scared that your arm's going to get bitten off.
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely a big worry there. And, I mean, you got 3 sets of teeth coming. And you do feel that threat. And apparently Luffy has some sort of idea. We get Luffy's grand plan. Kick him in the face, knock out another set of teeth, which is this 4 now? 5? I forget.
Yeah, oh, he just regrows them on sight, and it's a little disgusting.
Yeah. I love this. What's his big plan? Look, I have shark teeth too. Oh my God.
This is unhygienic.
Yeah, you don't take somebody else's dentures.
These
are all the best Luffy fights are a little bit ridiculous. And I think, and of course, Arlong's first reaction, he's like, "How dare you mock me?" It's like, well, hey, this is he's not fooling around. Luffy's taking it seriously, but
I think literally, isn't that what Luffy says? He's like, "I'm not fooling around here. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, he's all about it. He's using the environment still. He's avoiding the attacks as he's getting all around. Like, Arlong is cutting stuff up. And he finally does get him right in the stomach, which, man, it's amazing none of these attacks outright kill Luffy, because they are, like, you think about the shark and how they were describing a lot of his attacks. It's like, it's amazing. Like, if this was a Seinen manga, he'd be just getting chunks out of him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be fair, as the story goes on, I think you'll see a lot more attacks where you'll go, really? Characters should have died here. And then, no, they're fine.
It's fine.
It's shonen.
It is the way it works. Of course.
What I love about this fight in particular is how it just, like... This section of the fight is just like weirdly visceral, where they're just like biting each other, basically.
Yeah.
Like Luffy gets hit, in the stomach, and he just instantly just bites right back at Arlong, and they're just biting each other.
The paneling, I think, certainly helps with that too. Like, just the way that he's posing the characters in these really dynamic fashions to, like, first he's chomping down on his arm with, like, the teeth that he's got in his hand, and then Luffy's got the teeth in his mouth and he's chomping down to it. It's just, the whole thing is done in a way where, you really feel the fight.
Yeah, it's like a action and reaction. It's
totally.
So tightly put together that I love it.
You got the visceral scream of getting bitten from Luffy going into his raw, and then they actually continue it on with the Rog to, like, for him biting back. It flows so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's just so proud of himself that he bit Arlong with his own teeth.
Yeah. I do like this. I mean, well, Arlong explains that, like, you might have bitten me, but, like, my jaws are stronger. And then Luffy, like, he takes the hit, he takes the bite, and then just socks him right in the face.
Yeah, well, that is one of the most iconic panels, too. I would argue of this whole story arc where you get that immediate punch. You see the push of Arlong into the ground and those great action lines that are, like, descending, almost like shooting stars or something coming down. It just looks really cool.
Especially when you consider the size difference, because I love that little panel showing, like, Luffy's stuck. He has it, like, his elbow stuck in Arlong's mouth, and you see him swing up so he can slam him down like that just to get that leverage.
So good.
Great.
And then that manga panel right after where he's pulling his elbow out and it's all mangled and bloody and stuff.
Yes.
You feel for him.
It's so great. You get that, like, strategy again of that battle sense where it's like, man, if he'd taken one step back, he would have lost the arm. And Sanji's just like, I doubt he knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is Arlong just seems so calm after that. He's just like, well, into the water.
Yeah, I mean, like this. It's weird because, I mean, I guess up to this point, like, he's obviously, you know, like, furious, but he hasn't let that anger take over his, like Arlong's still using strategy still at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see it. He's just like, all right, nobody can beat me in the water. I'm faster here. And then we get ridiculous attack number 2. Shark darts.
In particular, that shot of him, that shot of him landing onto the ground where his nose is still stuck in it after the attack.
It's just
so good.
That is amazing. It's just like Luffy's dodging, but he's able to do this not only from the water, but just anywhere. Just force himself out there. And again, it is silly as hell to see him sticking out of the ground like that.
It's definitely, again, like, this whole section of the fight is still pretty silly, but, like, no other manga can really sort of balance that, like, silliness with a very serious context.
No. But I honestly feel like, and I guess it's irrelevant for people who are completely caught up to the manga currently, but I feel like when One Piece is at its best, it is when it's balancing the super goofy stuff with the super serious stuff. Because I think there's a lot of other shonen manga that are out there that will have goofy moments, but it, like, detracts from the tension of the scene, right? But because so many characters are just so wacky in this series, that when they do finally crank it up to 11 and make things kind of Looney Tunes, it almost fits and still makes you scared for the situation at hand. Like, even the shot that we're talking about here with the shark darts coming from Arlong, where he darts and then Luffy puts up the Gum Gum shield with his fingers. It's like, at any moment, if his buzzsaw nose goes through those fingers, his finger's coming clean off. But then you get a moment of, like, the fingers almost, like, wrap around the rest of Arlong's face, and it just cleanly cuts between the two of them. It's great. Yeah.
And I remember first time watching this, it's one of those things where it's ridiculous, yes, but I didn't care at the time. I was just fully invested because it is oddly compelling. You have again, all the setup up to this point, the stakes raised, the realness of Nami's situation always stays present in your mind, and you're like, okay, this is the big fight. This matters. You've seen his strength, and seeing Luffy go toe to toe really does matter. And when he says, I'm gonna get him, I'm gonna knock him out, you sort of buy it. Like, when Luffy makes those declarations, it's rare that he's wrong, at least up to this point.
Yeah. That's confidence.
Yeah.
He's going to be king of the pirates. He better have confidence.
Yeah, it got to at this point. And I mean, it's a fight chapter. We get through these relatively quickly, so that basically covers it. But I do like, this is really cool. I completely forgot about this. Instead of SBS questions, we're getting a breakdown of the Going Merry.
Is this like a 3D model?
It is.
It is.
Or just like an actual model?
No, it's definitely a 3D model.
That looks 3D.
That's like that early 90s
I was going to say,
it has that, Mario Golf
it has that
render.
Mario 64 look.
Yeah, exactly. Man, what I would give to see early pre-time skip One Piece stuff, right? With the Mario renders from those old N64 games. Like, could you imagine if we got a full game in the style of the Mario 64 renders where you're riding on the back of the merry-go with the crew?
That'd be awesome.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing, like, I guess it's a good reminder of just how long ago this was. Like, we're still sort of in, like, the late 90s.
Yeah.
Still.
I want to say this is like 98, 99. Oh, 99. I have the volume actually here, the physical volume with me, so I can more easily look at that breakdown of the ships, because I was turning my head on my side when I was reading it here. I was like, this doesn't work quite as well.
So to put that into perspective, when this was being published, Donkey Kong 64 and Jet Force Gemini were cutting edge.
Oh my god.
Dear God.
Technology has changed a lot in the course of One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
But that brings us to chapter 92, Happiness, where we find out why Garp is there. It's the extradition of Morgan, and we get to see Garp himself with his dog mask and cigarette. He has these impressive-looking bodyguards behind him. And again, the overly expressive Helmeppo trying to get to his dad as everybody holds him.
Kobe's just having to hold him back.
and as mentioned by Brandon before, might be a bad idea to let him have his axe hand.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to give that back to him in the first place.
No,
that is a choice.
Yep, that is absolutely a choice. So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, not as much to comment here. It's just like, well, there's Garp, and that's a Marine.
Now, I can't remember. Was this the first time people actually saw Garp?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the first mention ever of Garp.
This exact. Wow. So that's
right.
Him with the dog hood and the cigar in his mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like we mentioned this during the whole Buggy's whole chapter stuff, but it's fun how they take this title chapter stuff and bring it in later.
Oh yeah.
This won't be for way later, but
yeah.
It definitely contributes to the vibe of just like I love seeing all of the other characters getting to do their own thing, and how whether or not that comes back into the main story. Like it's cool to see that these characters don't stop existing just because the story is not focusing on them.
And that's always been such a fun thing about reading it week to week, right? Is like whenever Oda announces, I'm starting a new cover story, that's almost as exciting as like when we start a new arc, because we know we're going to get more information, even if it's drip fed over the course of like 16, 17 chapters, right? You're still looking forward to where the story's going to go from there. And, where these people that you've already spent time with have left off, right? And what's happening with them in the future, and how they're interacting with other characters you wouldn't expect them to interact with. It's great.
Yeah.
It's with being 16 or 17 chapters spread out, it's almost its own chapter, if you lay it out otherwise. It's a clever idea that I'm surprised more manga haven't emulated. But as Roger said before, Luffy's big plan is the Gum Gum Shield.
Before we get into that,
sure.
I just noticed something I wanted. I pointed this out in our last episode, but I love that in like the first panel of the first page of this chapter, like we still see the Kurubi shaped hole in the wall when Sanji kicked him through it. Like I love that attention to detail still. Even like that was like 4 chapters ago.
That's Oda for you. Especially when these big battles keep going on and on and on, you're going to notice things in the background that were left there 20 30 chapters prior, the further we get into the series.
The man kept track of an on-sea battle somehow at the Baratie. I like that early on, like his sense of place when creating these fights is amazing.
Yeah, it's only going to get more complicated.
But he got the Gum Gum Shield, which is just, I love that, just sort of this simple small extension of the fingers that seems like nothing.
I completely forgot about this technique when I was doing the read through for this podcast. I was like, right,
yeah, and man, just emphasizing Luffy's strength, the fact that he's darting out like that and is still able to catch him, hold him back, and keep him from getting skewered. Like that's
he's got like a centimeter, like his Arlong's nose is like a centimeter from Luffy's face,
and just no fear, just laughing at him.
Yeah.
I know, Brandon. I know. We're thinking something, Brandon. I know we are, but we got to keep our mouths shut. It's
definitely.
Man.
Yeah. I know I put Brandon through a lot of pressure each week because
it's hard, man. I'm sitting here like I'm trying not to speak up unless I know for a fact a spoiler is not going to come out of my mouth. So.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Eventually, I love the combo. We got the Gum finger net into a spear, and that's a good hard hit on Arlong.
Luffy, he says he's going fishing. We got the net, we got the spear.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's
he says it. Oh, right, yeah. When he uses the net. Yeah, and then just between the net and the spear, I'm like, yep, all right.
And that's something that's always consistently good about Luffy too, right? Is that like he adjusts his fighting techniques specifically for that opponent, and a lot of the times he'll come up with techniques like based off of what his opponent's doing too. So even the idea of like using the shield and then like shooting him back, like bouncing the dart back off, makes perfect sense for what Luffy's power set is.
Yeah, it's just consistently creative.
Oh yeah,
it does good damage. Like Arlong coughs up some blood. He's hurting.
Remember, we had that whole beatdown when he first entered the fight, and Arlong shrugged it off, no problem. But this spear combo definitely got him, and I think absolutely is his breaking point. Those eyes.
Yeah,
he is. Done.
And reminiscent of that first eel that Luffy punched in like the very first chapter as well. Right.
I didn't even think about that. That's
that is a weird, like, I hadn't even thought of that. And just to see Oda point that out himself to be like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that at first because it was weird to have it next to Sanji.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, I guess. Well, I mean, Sanji did cook fish at a restaurant.
That's true.
But it really does like hammer home, we're going full circle with this, right? Like if you think of everything that Luffy's done in the East Blue up to this point, right? You get the stuff with Orange Town, you've got the stuff with the Baratier, now you're getting this with Arlong Park, Surf Village even too, right? He's like time and time again, he's leveling up through the course of these series, and now Arlong Park really is the culmination of everything that we've had up to the story at this point, right? Like,
it really
Usopp was present, Sanji had his own fight, Zoro, everything, the character development for Nami, like we've got this core squad of characters, and so everything's fully coming together amidst this fight with Arlong, which is, I think, a big reason why people love the story arc so much, even years and years later.
Yeah, it has the build-up.
Yes.
Right.
It has that, plus... as I said to Brandon before, it's the first time it feels like Luffy could actually lose.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because up to this point, it felt like nobody really challenged him. They'd annoy him, especially with Don Krieg, but you never thought that Luffy had a chance of losing. This was so back and forth with actual damage to each of them. It's crazy. Even though Luffy is still like he gets thrown into the side of Arlong Park. I love those rubber physics, by the way, just amazingly cartoonish. And even then,
he's just whoop whoop.
He's like, I'm not hurt, but I mean, he sure is mad, and de-escalates the fight somewhat. But you can still, just how powerful Arlong is, you feel it.
And then I mean, he just goes straight from that to like punching through the building to grab his sword from the other side.
Right. Another thing to note here too is like the paneling. Oda does such cool things with perspective here, right? So like I think it's page 14 or page 15 of 92 where you get that shot of like Arlong slamming the saw shark sword like onto the deck, and there's specifically a shot where Luffy's like kicking back and jumping into the air, and it's the whole deck of Arlong Park, like the balcony area, has this weird warped perspective on it that makes it look like a much bigger arena than it actually is. Like the actual space they're fighting on is relatively small compared to what we've seen for the rest of the story arc. So it's just really cool things like that Oda plays with that gets me all excited to see more.
I love the wind up with Arlong's sword here too. Like it feels like a Monster Hunter. It feels like he's using a great sword, where he just he has to arch back and then just like flips forward multiple times with it. It's
kind of amazing that isn't a Monster Hunter weapon.
Right? You would think that one of Lagiacrus's weapons would have been like that or something, but unfortunately, he's not in Monster Hunter Rise. So. Oh well.
But Luffy gets sent back, and we find out from Nami he's ended up in the chart room.
Yes.
I forgot that this happened way faster than I thought it did.
Oh yeah.
That's because, Brandon, we're used to pacing currently in the manga.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Of course, yes. Well, I mean, we get that a lot.
That's not good. That's not good.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of that.
I'm used to like people complaining about anime pacing, not manga pacing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, as you progress in the story, right, there's a lot more characters and a lot of things to keep track of.
Yeah.
And so the manga gets to a point where Yeah, you're not going to get this much exposition in 1 or 2 chapters anymore, barring like a power up or something like that, right? It's not going to happen.
Sure. I think it's more that this part in the map room is the part I remember about the fight the most. So I was kind of like, how do we get there again? And it was like, oh, we're here.
He just punches through the wall and we're here.
Yeah, it's like, all right, cool.
Got chased into here, and it gives us enough time to be like, what is this place? And even though Arlong is absolutely lost it, he's just like, yes, we can gather this data, and she is a genius, and this is 8 years worth of her work. And he just, I love this. Luffy just spots the pen with blood on it. And the fact that it matters so much to him, he knows what it's all about, even though he knows nothing of Nami's backstory. This is all he knows.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I love this speech from Arlong. Complete villain speech right there. And just Luffy puts the pen down, nice and easy, and almost seems to softly grip the sawtooth sword. And that line from Arlong saying it won't move, and just that use as he breaks into the sword. Just cracks. Holy crap.
Iconic moment.
Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, and contrast that, like, just on the previous page, like, that perspective when Arlong's got the sword, like, around Luffy's neck, and it's just, like, just super exaggerated, and, like, just, I loved going from that to Luffy just grabbing on and snapping it.
Yeah. Oh, so satisfying. It's, like, those moments, like, that, you have the silliness, but when Luffy gets serious, and you get that face, that's when you get the good stuff. And I can only imagine how hype-inducing that was to, like, also, like, aggravating, but, like, man, that's cool that we have, like I want to see what happens next.
Well, again, I mean, this is the area that I was reading it, like, chapter to chapter in the North American release, so it was funny. I had those exact feelings, right, where I would get the next volume. Normally, I would get the next volume because I wanted the Yu-Gi-Oh card, but then it got to a point where I was getting the new volumes because I wanted to read the new One Piece chapter because of moments like this. I mean, I came in at a good time, right, with the end of Usopp and Chu. It's like, you're in the really, really good stuff. You get into the stuff with Luffy and Arlong, and every single chapter is like this. It's like multiple new techniques. It's all these really cool panels. It's ending with these massive cliffhangers, story exposition stuff with Nami. It's just, it's brilliant.
It absolutely is. And, oh gosh, it just gets you excited for the next one, which hopefully, reading 5 chapters at a time when we get to where you guys are at now, maybe the pacing won't seem as bad.
Those podcasts are going to be 3 hours long.
Oh, dear God.
with how dense those chapters are.
Oh, my God. Well, that'll be something. But either way, we got our first room of the Going Merry, the lounge, which includes the conference room, the galley, and the bridge. I like how it just points out everything, how it's all laid out. Just interesting stuff here with, like, it's not controlled by a wheel, it's controlled by a whip staff. That's neat.
If anybody wants to know what...
Do we ever see this?
So that's what I was going to bring up, actually, is I don't think we got to ever fully see this room in the anime or the manga, aside from a few scenes where they're, like, I think we see it at one point in the arc 3 from this arc, where they're having a conversation about something regarding the ship, and you see this conference room. Right. That's a pretty iconic moment. Right.
Yeah.
So I know we see it there, but I was also going to say that if you want to see what this room looks like in 3D, there was a model of this room at One Piece Tokyo Tower, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but there is a video on my YouTube channel. If you just search Tokyo One Piece Tower RogersBase, I think it's like the first thing that comes up, and you can actually see this room and what it looks like in real life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man. that attention to detail.
All that One Piece stuff they have in Japan, like just recreating like the Going Merry and all this stuff later on. Like, that's the cool stuff. That's the wish we could see, but But either way, that brings us to chapter 93, Going Down. And who could have guessed that Axe Hand Morgan would use his axe hand and got Garp with his guard down.
Yeah, he drew blood.
Yeah. Seemed to.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. That's debatable. I mean,
yeah.
He drew somebody's blood. I don't know.
He drew somebody's blood. I don't know. I think that's the guy falling in the background. Like, you see the other cape falling up. That's probably what it was. I don't think Morgan...
Probably not. No.
Slice on Garp.
For the sake of those who have not, don't know much about Garp,
of course.
it's like, oh my God.
Attention.
Even from where we are in the story right now, right? When you know the term vice admiral, right?
True.
That means something versus
true.
what is Morgan? Captain?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He's a baby.
Which is still relatively high in the grand scheme, but not that high when you look at Vice Admiral.
No.
I do enjoy Kobe and Helmeppo's faces in the background, especially Helmeppo's like, oh God, no.
Oh yeah.
Well, things are going down both there and in the actual chapter itself, where we get to see the shattering of the shark saw.
I think one thing we skimmed over in the last chapter is that like the reason Luffy snapped a saw or snapped Arlong's like saw blade was because Arlong said that like you can't use Nami nearly as good as I can, and that was what set Luffy off. And then it's just like I love that line where he's like, "What do you think Nami is?"
The fact that he wants to just use her, it's not a friend or anything like that. And, he just goes into it. She's an excellent cartographer. Even though she's human, she's intelligent, and she's like a kitten, a charming one. Just those lines of, she'll draw the sea charts for me in this room forever, and I'll feed her, and I'll buy her all the clothes she wants. She'll want for nothing. All she has to do is the thing she loves best. After all, we're shipmates. And just how Luffy feels about shipmates at this point.
That you didn't.
Yeah, nope. That does not work. And just that immediate kick. Like, I love that Luffy even looks like he's kicking the wham. It's just that much force.
Yeah, I was going to say that's I would imagine it was probably like that in Japanese as well, but I love that detail in the English lettering where made sure to curve it to make it look like Luffy was just kicking through the sound effect.
I love it.
Yeah, and he just like kicks a desk out, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's that?"
Yeah, it's like, what's going on up there? I just love the recognition from Nami. It's like, what is happening? And at this point, Luffy's just more concerned about destroying this room. And
it's just office supplies raining down from the top of Arlong Park.
Books and charts and bookcases. Yeah.
Just all going down, and Arlong's trying to get Luffy, and he keeps accidentally cutting them himself, and it just keeps getting destroyed.
Yeah.
And just seeing those flashbacks, the elements, because I'll admit, up to this point, from what we saw, Arlong branded her, but left her mostly free. You didn't get an idea of how much she had to draw the charts, what that meant for her, because she seemed to spend so much time just going out and stealing from other pirates in order to pay off this debt. But seeing those flashbacks,
we got to remember though, Arlong kills her mom basically.
Oh yeah,
Forget that.
He is awful. No doubt about it. I actually just to have a little comparison here, I did watch a little bit of the anime of this moment just to see how the anime emphasized it. Not the whole thing, but I did like one thing the anime added here, where when he's like, you're trying to fool me and drawing the wrong chart on purpose. You're wasting your time drawing this instead, and it's a picture of Belmare. It's like, ooh, okay, that's a good addition.
Feels.
Oh, that's.
And he just rips it up.
They got to go and do that.
Yeah, they just rips it up again. It just makes it even worse. And it's just, I like that he has Luffy by the throat, and Luffy's still just getting rid of all this stuff.
The fact that like just sort of with very little introspection, once he notices what's going on in this room,
of course,
it's just like I think I remember hearing that this is a specific choice on Oda's part, that like he doesn't show Luffy thinking like that often, if not ever, because like normally he's the kind of character where you know what he's thinking because he's going to do it.
Of course,
there isn't any sort of like, oh, this is Nami's room or anything like that. He's just instantly like, I'm gonna tear this place apart.
And that's more satisfying in a way. You're not in Luffy's head, but you know what he's about. He's just so it's the wearing his heart on his sleeve type thing.
You never question Luffy's intentions ever.
No, really don't. And God, that moment of Nami just saying thank you, because we're all people who do a lot of work. These things take time, and losing that work sucks. So you'd think, I remember when I first watched it, I was like, man, 8 years of work down the drain. But seeing her say thank you, it's like, it's corrupted work. It's not something she wants to keep. It's all bad memories. It's not really her dream. And that having that thank you is just that, man, we got to have that one last gut punch for this arc.
And this panel in particular is also one that like has been iconic for years and years from now. I'll see this on T-shirts. I'll see people use it as their profile pictures. Just this specific shot of the crying Nami with the straw hat there is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And it's simple. It's such a simple panel too because there's no background to it. It's just literally a close-up on her face, but it's managed to stand the test of time all these years later.
Yeah, it's just that good. And honestly, going back to Luffy and seeing the Arlong at his neck, you would think he's dead at this point because my God.
Yeah.
That is a deep bite.
And just like going from that to like Luffy like wrapping his arms like back around to Arlong's nose and just like snapping it.
Oh my God, that moment too was so
it is so satisfying. It is the most satisfying hit because we've seen how proud Arlong is of his nose. He sticks out of the ground straight out of it with it. He's blocked Zoro's swords with it, and Luffy just breaks it.
But not only does Luffy break it, he breaks it while holding down on the spiky part. It's not like he breaks just the part.
Yeah, because his hands are bleeding.
Yeah, right. His hands are bleeding. He doesn't even think about it. He grabs onto the spiky part and cracks that along with the straight part of his nose. So he doesn't care how much he needs to bleed. That moment where it's all bolded and he says the problem is this room. She hated being stuck here. I'm going to smash it to smithereens. And you still have that shot of Arlong with the messed up eyes, but you have that bit of his crooked nose sticking out of the panel is just like perfection.
It is.
It's so good.
It's the pain you wanted to see him in for so long.
Exactly.
Just breaking down Arlong at this point. And then we got the moments you were thinking of the first time you thought this move was used.
Oh yeah. Because we saw it at Baratier, right?
Yes, he used it in Baratier.
Yeah.
But this is the more iconic example, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
One of the best.
Oh God, yeah. The gum battle axe as Arlong does his tooth drill, which one final really scary attack, really. It's just seeing how it's animated like that. Gets Luffy in the hit, but it's still enough for him to hang on and stomp him in the back and just drive him through the entirety of Arlong Park.
I think this is still one of my favorite finishers in the entire manga.
Oh, easily.
100%. Yeah. I would say over the course of time, right, through all the power-ups we've seen, all the new characters, all the fights, everything, this still to me, if you were going to ask me, like, what is one of your favorite fight endings, including everything, not just for Luffy, this is easily top 5 for me. Like, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, again, it's that culmination. And especially in the anime, when you got Luffy's voice actress, I forget her name off the top of my head.
Mayumi Tanaka.
Yeah, she kills this. That scream as she's driving Arlong through floor after floor.
I think it's the symbolism of it too.
I love that like this arc got reanimated twice, so there's like 3 versions of this.
Oh really? I've only seen the initial.
Yeah, I'll have to link them to you later. They're both really great.
If you haven't, definitely check out episode of East Blue because they reanimated it with the current style, and it really is gorgeous.
Oh man,
yeah.
Because it's funny going back to early One Piece anime and be like, "Ooh, this was low budget."
little janky, but they still got. I think the big moments they still managed to nail, and this is definitely one of them.
No, what I was going to mention earlier, the stuff with the symbolism of it too, and I think that's a big reason why it still sort of sticks to my head and why it is so good, because not only is he defeating Arlong, he's literally taking down all of Arlong Park with him, right? You see that,
it's like his empire
awesome shot, right? You get that shot of like the crack between where it says Arlong Park, right? And you see little by little these explosions coming out, and just the way Oda breaks down how this is all happening, like the kick pushing Arlong down all those floors, then like you see the beginning of the shattering of the walls, then you see the shot of Arlong like 5 floors down, Luffy looking down into the hole, and then the whole thing collapses upon itself with Luffy, all capital letters, like so iconic.
Yeah. It is.
This was a long time coming.
Yeah,
getting to this is so satisfying.
Arlong is done at this point. Like he's not getting up. His tooth are like only half broken. His mouth is wide open. His nose is re-broken. He is done for at this point. And
he snapped it back into place and he broke it again.
And he deserved it.
Oh God, yeah, he did. Man, what an end.
Woo! So good.
Love it. For our next piece of the Going Merry, we got the men's quarters, where apparently there's room for 5 in here. Hammocks 5 for guests, and you got a little sofa for relaxing. And honestly, it seems really packed in there.
Yeah, one tiny little coffee table shared amongst all the guys.
There you go. That's all you need.
But I like how you can see how it's all built up. It makes a point of like saying it's right. Hey, it's right under the mast. So
and he's got the alcohol next to his wardrobe. I don't think I keep my wine cellar in my bedroom next to my bookcase.
You got the night drinking.
Yeah. Maybe there's a reason Luffy hangs out on the mat.
That's funny.
Yeah, where he does most of the time.
Though, I mean, when you think about it, because Mary built the ship, right? Back in in Seraph Village. So right. I'm kind of sitting here like, why did you make it this way?
I guess I have no idea. I guess that's just the way it is.
Look, interior design wasn't his strong suit. All right, just be happy.
With the ship. Like, you got a ship for free. We can't complain.
Yeah. That brings us to chapter 94, The Other Villain. And if you weren't convinced that Arlong was defeated that before, we got it now, and we're going to have a party. It's just outright. It's like,
Tantry's on the table in the background, too. Nice touch. Very nice touch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, and I love, we're going to get this a lot as we keep going, but, the post-fight, arc wrap-up parties are some of my favorite moments.
Oh, God, yes.
In One Piece.
Those celebrations.
And you think about it, that's always where the really good lore comes in, too. It's always after that.
You wrap up.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think we get that quite here, but there's a few moments.
There's a moment in particular I'm thinking of that I know happens at Arlong Park that's a real good one, so.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's true. I think about it. But I do love that throughout this entire fight, Zoro fell back asleep and he gets woken up by a piece of debris to his chest.
Yeah,
because that wound hasn't been beaten on enough.
Yeah, it just he's been taking L's this whole not literal L's, but he's just been getting beaten up. Man's trying to sleep.
Looks awful, but yeah. Of course, everybody's just like, wait, who actually won? Because I don't know what's going on.
And that shot of Luffy shadowed, covered in blood, is the sun behind him.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
This was the moment that just not Nami stabbing herself and the crying before is that was the moment I was invested. This was the moment I was sold, because there was something just awesome about Luffy appearing from the rubble, taking a deep breath, calling out to Nami, and then saying in the Japanese, "You're my Nakama."
Right.
Or Nakama.
Yeah.
And honestly, because that's the thing they always impressed upon you, is that Nakama is bigger than friend, just the biggest expression of friendship you can have in Japanese, as I was explained at the time. Yeah. And friend doesn't get that across. Shipmate really doesn't get that across. And I was really happy with how they translated this. You're one of us now. That has its own emphasis. You're free from Arlong. You're one of us. That is a good translation.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then she just seeing Nami cry on the next page, just saying, I got emotional.
Oh yeah.
After all we've been through,
get those manly tears out.
Absolutely.
But then of course we can't celebrate for too long.
No. But we do have this wonderful start to another of Sanji's gags, where he goes to hug Nojiko, but she's hugging Genzo instead. And he just
I missed that. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, it's Sanji going for a hug from Nojiko and failing.
Wow. That's a good blink and you miss it gag.
Oh yeah, it is. And I'll say this. I completely forgot Nezumi came back onto the scene.
Yeah, we got this last little thread to wrap up.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Right.
What does this idiot think he's going to accomplish? He just watched this man take down Arlong. He's like, aha, it must be a fluke that this actually happened. But thanks to you, I can have all the gold and all the treasure. And this will go on my record. I am Captain Nezumi. And that's just deflated by Zoro. Beautiful.
Zoro just grabbing him by the neck. It's just like, we're celebrating. Get out. And you just cut, and they're just all just beaten and bloody.
Yeah.
I mean, the best shot of all of this, though, I know you guys mentioned Zoro, but it's Nami slapping him, right? That dynamic feeling coming from the baton of Nami, where, I mean, this is one of the first moments, I think, in the story where we get the entirety of someone's face take up the left-hand side of the panel, curved, but it's again got those weird dynamic like curved lines that we got that was used previously in like the atmosphere of certain scenes, right? Like you never normally get to see it on a character that's not Luffy.
Yeah, like distorted.
Right? Right. The weird distortion makes sense with Luffy because he's rubber. But seeing it here where like his whole face bends, you would think for a second Nezumi's got the Gummo Gummo no Mi.
This looks like as hard of a hit as Luffy did to Arlong.
Yeah. Oh, and it just, again, it's just so satisfying.
Absolutely is, because he has been such a worm this entire time, and it's just I agree with Genzo. Hit him 1,000 times more.
Yeah, and I love that Nami's here to lay down the laws. Like, you guys are going to clean this up. You don't get any of the treasure. Give me back my money. It's just like we're just finally just getting her to just lay down the law on this guy.
Probably the most important element here. I'll get you for this. So you're the captain. You've incurred my wrath. Now something terrible will happen to you. I'll pay you back in spades.
He's gonna snitch.
Yeah,
of course. But snitches get stitches. So
yeah, he needs some stitches after all that. I completely missed it the first time. I love in the background. It's, you mark my words.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and because it's written out of the bubble, so it's weird. It's done as if it's like one of the little air trails running behind him.
Yeah, he's like, ah.
Yeah, Luffy, it's great.
Yeah, I love this little exchange where Sanji's like, he said something terrible's gonna happen. And Luffy's like, how do you know about me becoming king of the pirates? He's like, that's
not what he's talking about.
Yeah, Luffy's gonna be a fair and terrible ruler as king. Then we got the celebration here where everybody's like, we gotta tell the rest of the island that Arlong Park has been destroyed, and just this wrap up of, you know, Nami at Bellmare's grave, and just this conversation between it all. It's so wholesome and nice.
Yeah, I love that Nojiko asks, like, would you have listened if Bellmare like tried to stop you from becoming a pirate? And she's like, absolutely not.
No. Well, doing it with the little that tongue too.
Yeah,
little
just,
cute kitten tongue. Shit, they don't really do that anymore.
Yeah,
I can't remember the last time that we saw, because obviously that comes from the whole like the kitten play, the cat play, her being cat burglar Nami, right?
Yeah.
And it's an aspect of her character that we haven't seen in a very long time.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a shame, because that is a fun part of her where she's just, you know, she's always 3 steps ahead of everybody else for most times, and it's pretty great. And hey, Zoro's getting some actual medical attention.
Medical attention from the scars he got from Mihawk like 40 chapters ago.
Yeah.
This is a great moment though, because again, and this is what I'm talking about, like almost that world building at the end of these story arcs where things get foreshadowed. You get that great line of, "Is there a doctor on your ship? It'd be really nice to get a doctor." And then Luffy also says this early on, "Yeah, you know what? A musician should come first though too, right?"
Yeah, it's not even the first time he brought it up.
I think he brought it up as like as basically as soon as he got Zoro is the first time we brought up having a musician. It's just a running gag at this point where it's just like, we need a musician because we need pirates to sing. And I mean, this is how we set up our next crew member the last time, is like we need a cook, and hey, now we have Sanji. Right. So
now we got Sanji.
It is sort of, thanks to Sanji, it does set up as like, oh, hey, maybe we will get a character that fulfills this role in the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Zoro's going to keep getting injuries like this...
Yeah. The doctor is required.
Yeah, absolutely, for this crew, because dear God. But we get Genzo laughing. You could just feel the jubilation coming through these panels. It's great.
It feels so worth it.
It really does. And then, yeah, you're right, Roger. The world building here where... God, Naval Base Unit 16, where it actually looks like a mouse. Like, my God, they really did go for that theming. And our first, it feels weird to see it be referred to as a telesnail. I'm so used to it being called a Den Mushi.
Of course. I think even the manga calls them transponder snails at some point. So the term doesn't stick around.
No,
but this is our first time seeing it.
Yeah,
which I forgot that was here.
What weird little inventions. I don't know if they ever explain them, but... telephones, CB radios, but also like fax machines.
Yeah, hey, it's multi-purpose. And
projectors sometimes too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the snail's able to convey the emotion of the person talking.
Right.
It's great. Yeah, this is where we got it. The pirate Luffy, who wears a straw hat, and his 4 henchmen should be considered enemies of the state, and they're just sort of writing it down. I was like, all right, Luffy's looks like he's going to be getting a bounty, and the only picture they have is this big smile of him.
With
Usopp, the back of Usopp's head in the background. It's like somebody taking like a crappy phone camera photo.
Yeah. Oh gosh, gotta remind yourself this is a vicious pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a way to end, because that does sort of set up the whole idea that this is going to have a ripple. Luffy defeating Arlong.
Oh yeah.
I forgot that it was specifically them dealing with Nezumi that was like, okay, because they pissed off Nezumi, now he's getting reported.
I think that's the other thing that sort of brings it full cycle, right? Like talking about what we talked about with the shot of the flashback of him punching the fish at the very beginning of the story as well, right? Is that him finally getting a bounty, right? Finally getting that moment after all this time, and it happening in this way. Right, again, it brings everything together. It's like his crewmates are ready. Like Nami's been saying, she couldn't even stop me from being a pirate if she tried. Everything is finally coming together for that moment that's been, telegraphed since chapter 1. They're finally going out to sea. They want to get to the Grand Line. Yeah. And now all the pieces are in place.
We're finally getting to the beginning of One Piece.
Right. Yeah, literally.
The prologue is almost over.
The prologue is ending. Right.
Incredible to think about, but either way, we do have one other room to show off. Two other rooms, but the first one is the storeroom and battery deck, which is below the whipstaff, so below the basically the galley. You can see the tiller going through. We have towels set up right next to the bathroom. Some stairs leading to the women's quarters, which has a latched hatch. I love that little detail. And also, treasure chests are also stored here. Any treasure not taken by Nami to her room is kept here, which can't be much.
I imagine Nami's room is like 99% treasure.
Yeah, it's just gold everywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's Nami to a T. But that brings us to chapter 95, Spin Pinwheel, where time for Morgan to take a hostage, and he chooses his own son.
The faces in this one are so good too. Like
I love
Helippo
it.
screaming, but then Kobe with his jaw pretty much down to the floor, both of his hands smacked across his face, and then the dynamic shot of the chains flying towards the camera. It's like all in one swift move, right? He threw off his chains, got his axe back, grabbed his son, and is now already making the threat. It's fantastic. It tells the whole story here.
It's something happening, because before this point, a lot of this was just like, well, here's these two doing marine stuff, and now we got more of a storyline where it's like, we're dealing with Morgan again, and he's he's still Morgan.
Yeah, because the first like 3 or 4 of these are just like all Kobe and Helmeppo doing like sort of normal day-to-day chores.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. It just didn't give us much to talk about, but it's not quite the adventure that Buggy had. These two are, it's definitely a toil.
I still can't get over how bonkers Buggy's was.
I definitely the hallmark up to this point, but we'll see how Kobe and Helmeppo end when we get to that point. Either way, though, night has fallen at last across the island, and the sea was calm once more, and the whole island celebrated and continued through the night, and everyone was living for the moment. Everyone was living to laugh. God, these celebrations are so good. Like I'm not a party person, but God, these parties make me want to be there in One Piece.
Yeah, and of course you got Usopp, telling stories. He brought down the fisherman, Captain Usopp.
And getting everybody behind him. Meanwhile, Luffy's gorging on meat.
Yeah, he's literally holding
everybody's just having a good time.
6 giant meat on the bone skewers, and then he's worried about like prosciutto and melon.
Yeah, he's like,
hey,
what?
Where'd you get that? It's like, do you not have your hands full already with 6 giant things of meat?
It's really good. And it's like, Sanji's like, I've had my fill of food. Now I'm going to find me a girl. And Zoro's asleep again.
Yep.
They are
because he knows that's not going to happen. Come on.
Yep. Luffy's eating, Sanji's girl chasing, Zoro's sleeping, and Usopp's telling tall tales. Yep. That's their dynamic. I do love this moment with Genzo and Belmare. He's just pouring out this wine for her. Just this happiness. He does come across as a dad at this point.
Yeah, he's a good dad.
He is a very good dad.
Well, I love that this introspective moment is very quickly interrupted by Luffy just looking for prosciutto and ham.
Well, and he also can't say the word condolences. Because his mouth is so full.
Yeah.
So he's finding out all this about Belmare. He's like, condolences?
He's trying to be respectful, but that doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were talking about Genzo being like a father figure, and he straight up is just like, if you like given the dad speech to Luffy, like, if you guys do anything to make her unhappy, I'll kill you.
Luffy's just like, I wouldn't do it. And he's like, no, I need a confirmation. And Luffy actually gets, well, as serious as he can with 2 pieces of bone sticking out of him. And then we get this interaction between Nojiko and the kid. They gave this kid a name. I do not remember this kid's name. It does not matter.
I don't remember. Yeah, I was surprised that we were giving him a little bit of like resolution, because he was pretty much just there at the beginning to be like, I hate the fisherman.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, he grew up. It's like, well, it's like, it didn't happen in time to save your father. It's like, regret's a waste of time. And it's like, Nojiko's like, I wanted to pick on you some more. It's like, being a meanie's fine by me.
Yeah.
And then we get a catch up on Nami. What's going on with her? Where we find out that she's had the Arlong tattoo removed, but she's going to have a pretty big scar that won't be completely gone. And even the background on
stab it out.
The background on Nojiko's tattoo, which I at the time, for whatever reason, I never put 2 and 2 together. That's why.
Yeah,
she
me
had a
neither.
tattoo.
Me neither.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a good sisterly moment.
Yeah, I forgot the detail that she got one like just to like in support of Nami, basically.
And I have to imagine the doctor probably gave it to her. Probably, she's so young. The reason she was able to get it is probably because the villagers were aware of this and they knew that Nami needed the support.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's that untold storytelling that's really good. But instead, she's going to get a different tattoo as requested by the doctor, but we don't actually see it. So that's what everybody's up to. We see Johnny and Yosaku dancing into the night. I like that Johnny actually has a woman to dance with. I don't think Sanji's that successful.
Oh, he's celebrating, but he didn't do anything.
Yeah, and he kept the villagers safe, I suppose. And song number 6, Usopp's cheer, just Usopp living it up.
I love these party chapters so much.
Me too. Yeah.
This is the big moment, the morning the departure. Johnny and Yosaku finally leaving the crew after being with us ever since the Baratie.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah, it honestly really surprised me that they left the first time I experienced the story, because I'm like, I was so used to them being around.
They do feel like characters that you would think would stick around, but
they're...
I guess maybe just you sort of assume because they kind of go from one arc to the other.
Yeah, but let's be honest, they've definitely fulfilled their uses at this point.
Yeah, they're done. They're done.
Yeah. Everybody's just sort of waiting for Nami, and Sanji's worried about her not coming. That's like a big deal for him. Meanwhile, Luffy's just upset that there wasn't any prosciutto anywhere. It's like, how dare you?
You lied to me.
All the villagers are a little upset that Nami's leaving all 100 million berries behind.
Something I love about, like, we'll see these, like, characters joining the crew saying goodbye. Like, Oda somehow finds a way to just, like, subvert your expectations each and every time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like we haven't even seen Nami yet, and she's just like, where is she? You know, and it's not as simple and straightforward as just like, oh, I'm getting on the boat and leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah. It's not like Sanji where it's like all hard and like manly at that point until everybody breaks down crying. Nami leaves in a way specific to her, and that's great. And she tells them to set sail. They follow her lead, and everybody's trying to stop her so they can thank her properly. She weaves in and out, makes the jump, and reveals that she stole everybody's wallet.
I wish we would see more of this, honestly, again, too. In like, I forgot how much of an aspect of her character that was. Like, obviously, we know, again, she's the cat burglar, she's the thief, but we don't really see her do that all that much. And I guess, again, the story has gotten so large where we currently are that maybe there's not time for it, but like, I would love another moment like this or something where Nami steals from, the random fodder characters of the day in the current story arc during the final party.
I would love that. It's definitely an aspect of her character that I really miss.
Yeah.
That's a shame because it is fun. It's such a big aspect of her character from where we're at right now.
And also, where did she hide all of these? Like, I understand
in the
she's
shirt,
got anime
apparently.
proportions, but like, there's no way you can hide all that. So
Yeah, she just bunch of wallets,
shaking them all out of her shirt.
To be fair, she did hide that pole in her shirt the first time she used it.
True.
Like she reached inside her shirt and pulled it out. It's like, how?
Mary Poppins.
I for some reason, Zoro's reaction to this, she's just like, she could double cross us again. Like, after all we've been through.
Of course.
Just like,
and Sanji is just all for it right away. Luffy's having the time of his life.
Just the best way to end into the story.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I love that there was no fight. It was like the whole thing. Like she resisted being Luffy's navigator for so long, and he doesn't even have to really ask. All he says is, "You're one of us now," and she just agrees to it. And there's no fight. There's nothing like that. She's just her mind's made up. It's a great new way for somebody else to join the crew, and I love that thumbs up from Luffy to Genzo.
That's actually commonly misunderstood. People think that that's Luffy acknowledging that promise to Genzo that he'll take care of her. Actually, that's Luffy telling him to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. Gotta hit that like button.
I missed that the first time.
Yeah.
He's a smart man. He knows how to get that in.
It's building up on the algorithm already.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then, God, I forgot this. Maybe it was a mistranslation or something. For whatever reason, I completely forgot this. Her new tattoo is a tangerine and a pinwheel.
Of course,
it looks so obvious when you point it out, and that's just something that I guess because I've been into this series for so long, and like they never really pointed out after this, so it's like assumed knowledge, but I had completely forgotten that last little bit.
Yeah, her mom and her dad essentially. But the thing that for whatever reason, I always thought it was a tangerine and money. I don't know where I got that from.
The berries. Well, I mean, it does. It looks like the berry symbol a little bit.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. It's curved in a way where it could look like a currency.
Yeah. The last little gut punch here on the last page where it's revealed that Genzo wears the pinwheel because it made Nami laugh when she was a baby. Like, just if you were in tears already at the end of this arc.
Yeah, it's such a good way to end. We got this satisfying last look at Belmare, really emphasizing Genzo's character, and then just this lovely narration where the skies are clear, the winds are fair, and the pinwheel merrily spins. It's like, man, what a great way to just bring yourself into the next arc. And we're not going to get this opportunity too often, as we said before, to just end an arc where we end our set of chapters.
I feel really lucky that we're able to, especially for one of my favorite arcs in this whole series.
Oh yeah,
and it just like, man, being able to end. Yeah, it just lines up perfectly.
And like you guys said, the next two, right, they're going to be their own episodes, basically, because they're relatively short story arcs and are contained like within 5 or 4 chapters. So
yeah.
You're going to be doing this for a couple weeks to get spoiled.
Yeah, I think Oda should split his arcs in groups of 5 just for us.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
That's a good idea. I like it. Because they're definitely getting longer from here on out. Like, I do know that the next arc is split up into mini arcs, but the overall arc is definitely a long one to go.
We got a big boy coming.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you mean the current one? Oh Jesus.
Oh well, no, not the current one. The next one we're dealing with.
Oh yeah. Oh well, kind of. Yeah, but I would say it's more separated than you would think. Like they're their own stories, basically. Right? It's like there's an overarching theme, but they are definitely their own stories.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Organization, that's to say, not a theme, but
yeah. I'm looking forward to those, but yeah, that's it for that chapter, that arc. And we get appropriately enough, we get a look at the women's quarters to end this off. And I love it that it's Nami's room. It's clean. And it's just, look how extravagant it is. Yeah. Which makes sense because it was designed for Kaya by Mary.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So he probably put all his effort into this one room. And then the rest he was just like, whatever.
Yeah. It's got a bookcase, a desk, its own bar.
An emergency exit. Man. Apparently, it even get a name here. It was built by a carpenter, Mr. Tell, before the ship left Cocoa Village for the bar. So, I doubt we'll ever meet that character, but it's. Cool
I don't think that ever comes up.
Yeah, it's still cool that it's there. It's a fantastic. It's the best arc so far, easily.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as Brandon and I've discussed, One Piece is not bad up to this point. It's not even poor. It's really good, but all the elements come together within these chapters, and the setup, the payoff, the fight, everything just fires on all cylinders.
The pacing, the art, I mean, the writing is all very, very good. The culmination of all the stuff that you got up to this point. Like, I always will tell people when they say, oh, I want my family to get into One Piece. I want, my girlfriend to get into One Piece, whatever. Where should I start? What should I have them watch? I always say, have them go up to Arlong Park. And if they're not feeling it after Arlong, they're not going to like One Piece.
Nope.
But I say the same thing.
Yeah, because it's the culmination of everything, and it really gives you a good idea of what the humor is like, the action, the emotional beats. It's all self-contained. It's relatively short. Realistically, too, if you just want to like have someone watch Arlong Park, right? You'll know enough of the characters by the end of it where they could then go back and watch the earlier story arcs of East Blue at their own pace, right? I just think it's so excellent on all fronts, and I think never really has even like a weak point. I think every single chapter is just like either fun to read or gives you some great exposition, gives you a character beat, and it has so many iconic moments that has still stood the test of time. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of shots in Orange Town or Serp Village or some of these other early story arcs where people will go back to this years and years later, but I would argue that Arlong has just as many, if not more, as the stuff you get in Romance Dawn with like Shanks putting the straw hat on Luffy punching the fish. Like, there's so many moments here between Nami and the tattoo and the straw hat and Luffy punching Arlong, going through even parts of like Zoro and Sanji's fights are still referenced nowadays. So it's phenomenal.
The anime, you'll get to Arlong within the first 30 episodes, and that's a lot. That's a good chunk, but it's worth it. And as Roger is living proof, he started here in the middle of the fight, didn't even get to set up with Nami, and still became a fan like this just because of how good it is. So
now I literally do it for a living. So I talk about One Piece for a living, and I started here. So don't let anyone tell you, you have to start from chapter 1. No, you don't. Start how you want to enjoy it. That's it.
Yeah. You definitely get the feeling like that this has been built up to is definitely really strong if you start from the beginning, but like it is such a strong story on its own that it just I could not recommend it enough to people.
10 out of 10.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And we are only a few chapters away. As I think you mentioned it before, Brandon, that Oda did set it up that by chapter 100, he wanted the crew to enter the Grand Line. So we are 5 chapters away from that big moment.
Well, I mean, Oda sure does love his 100-chapter milestones. We'll tell you that. That doesn't change it.
He does. He sure does. And when you think about it, we've only been running this podcast for a few months, and we're already at like chapter 100. So we just have to do this like 10 more times.
Yeah. By the time we get caught up, it'll be 10, maybe 11 more times.
There you go.
Still, hey, you know what? That's not too bad.
Funny thing here is like, is it possible that One Piece will be over by the time we actually catch up?
0% chance.
I think we'll be close, maybe.
Maybe close.
I think you'll be in the final arc. It'll probably be in the final arc, but I don't think so. No.
That's insane considering we're 4 years away.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is a marathon. But I'm excited, especially like we're getting closer, step by step, to the stuff I am not familiar with. And the great thing here is like I have not read a lot of the stuff coming up in the manga. I've only experienced it through the anime. I don't get the manga stuff until Water 7.
Oh wow, okay.
That's when I like had to swap over because Kaizoku wasn't doing anymore. I'm like, well, I guess I'll check out the manga and just so I can keep going because I want to know what happens, and just kept it up from there until Punk Hazard.
A lot of stuff because I basically only done one like beginning to catch up read through of One Piece. So there's a lot of stuff, and that was like a decade ago. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm not super familiar with.
It is so funny though, like even noticing the way certain panels are drawn, how this early on there are things that are being called back to where we are currently, right? And like different meanings to certain scenes, different like the shots and things that are in the background that you don't know entirely like why they're focusing on this one particular thing. And it's subtle, right? It doesn't take away from what the story is, and it probably wasn't Oda's intention when he was writing Arlong Park to have that imagery be maybe so strongly tied to the current story. But there's a lot of stuff there that like when you go back and read it, you're going, man, Oda's a master at foreshadowing.
every single time I'm just like, this man's been playing 4D chess for this entire manga.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how he does it. There's so much to keep track of, and because, boy, this world's about to get bigger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, can't wait.
I'm so looking forward to it.
You guys are in for some good stuff. Next episode's going to be a good one. You have one of my favorite little mini arcs coming up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And there's so much there.
There's so much good stuff to dive into. And a lot I'll have to keep my mouth shut for.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, me too. I do know things. Not everything, but I do know some things.
You know enough.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. But with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 91 to 95 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. Roger, thank you so much for joining us for this. This was a blast. Loved having you as our first guest. But where can the rare person who doesn't know who you are, where can they find you at?
Don't set it up like that. Come on, man.
Come on.
You
are literally working on One Piece stuff.
Right. No, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I'm happy to always experience friends that are going through it again for the first time or picking up on things. But yeah, if you like One Piece at all, and you are caught up to the manga, of course, because I don't want to spoil you, I do live reactions to each of the new manga chapters every day they are published on the Shonen Jump app. That is every Sunday. And of course, I also do like lots of gaming streams and pretty much all the stuff that these guys like. I'm also a fan of Nintendo, One Piece, all the usual.
Yep, definitely check it out. Fun time. You want a hype man? Here he is.
I'm the one. Yeah, I'm screaming into my pillow every other Sunday.
Breaking chairs, breaking audio headsets.
My chair is genuinely messed up after that most recent chapter. I have to get a new one. I genuinely have to reupholster it. I mean, there's like stuffing coming out of it. You could see the pole in the back of it. It's like,
oh my god,
there's a whole rip.
God.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
Wow.
It's comfortable still,
Yeah.
though.
That's just how good the current stuff in the manga is right now.
Oh,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm excited. I gotta be patient, but I am excited.
Be patient.
In 5 years, it's all gonna make sense.
Yep,
Hang
exactly.
in there, Derek.
I will dodge those spoilers until then. But Brandon, where can everybody find you at?
I'm on Twitter at Brandon Bovia. It's just my name. If you want to see me talk about anime and manga and games in my job, and I don't think I gave the intro at the beginning of the episode, but of course I work on Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8 and like a billion other things.
And go read Kaiju number 8. I'm telling you guys.
Please go read Kaiju.
I gotta check it
Kaiju
out.
number
I
8.
keep hearing these great things from Brandon. I gotta sit down. And do
Short.
it.
It's an easy read. Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll take you like a half a day.
Right.
And then I'll be like, oh, when's the next chapter coming out? So that's the problem there. I have to start waiting. That chapter to chapter grind is rough sometimes.
Yeah. And Kaiju number 8's every other week sometimes.
Oh no.
Right.
I definitely will check it out at some point though, and I wouldn't be surprised if it gets an anime at some soonish.
It's probably.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super popular.
Nice. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER. Thanks for that strange spelling, just so everybody gets it right, to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 96 to 100 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Nakama!
Remember to take life one piece at a time.